Jaclyn Hill is on a GLP1. And yes, we're gonna talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome back to Abby's Kitchen. Like so many of you, I've been following Jaclyn Hill's weight loss journey for several years now. And it really has been rewarding to see her grow and evolve in her relationship with her body and her mind. And like most people's journeys, it has not been linear or straightforward. And I think that is really why it's resonated with so many people. When we last checked in with Jaclyn, she had given up alcohol and embarked on a sobriety journey. This essentially led her to replace alcohol with sugar, which sparked some new struggles that we discussed. But starting earlier in this year, Jaclyn made the decision with her doctor to start a GLP1 receptor agonist, which is the class of medication that includes drugs like Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Wegovy. Now, just a quick little reminder that this video is not meant to be personalized medical advice for viewers or even Jaclyn, because I'm not her dietitian, and we are really all just getting like tiny snippets of what is actually going on in videos like this. So always speak to your doctor when making personal health decisions. And also, please let's exercise some empathy and support for Jaclyn here and also on her channel. But first, a quick little message from my sponsor. Okay, let me quickly take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor, Oslo Sleep Buds, because these have seriously just like revolutionized the way I sleep. If you guys have followed me for a while, you probably know that I have dealt with insomnia for probably as long as I can remember. And Oslo Sleep Buds have seriously changed the game. Unlike a lot of those sleep trackers that tell you you're not sleeping, which honestly just stress me out more, Oslo actually helps you sleep better. So first of all, they come with 4 different sizes of ultra soft silicone tips that stay comfortably in your ears all night. I'm a side sleeper, and literally every other bud that I've tried before would just fall out or just seriously irritate me. And then instead of just dulling noise like earbuds, you actually choose sleep sounds in the Oslo app that are audio engineered to specifically block out things like snoring, traffic, or loud neighbors. They charge right in their case and last up to 10 hours, so you don't have to worry about them dying and then waking you up. And one of my favorite features is that they will play whatever you want to help you drift off to sleep. So your favorite podcast or audiobook or meditation. And because they have these really cool biometric sensors that detect when you've fallen asleep, once you're out, they automatically switch to the sleep masking sounds. And then in the morning, they will gently wake you up without blasting your partner with a loud alarm. Honestly, they're super genius, which is why it's really not surprising that they were just named a winner in the 2025 Oprah Daily Sleep Awards. So if you're looking for a way to level up your sleep game, scan the QR code on screen, click the link in my description, or use my code ASHARP to get $10 off your own pair of Oslo Sleep Buds. A huge thanks to Oslo for sponsoring this video and also for helping me finally sleep like a human again. All right, folks, thanks for sticking around. Let's get into it. Okay, so to set the stage, Jaclyn gets honest about her current relationship with her body.
I've gotten just like so self-deprecating about it at times. Like during this last summer, I went to Mexico and I was like in a bathing suit for my best friend's birthday. It was just so hard because I just felt so insecure because I'm just like, this is not my body. Like what? I work too damn hard for this to be my body. Like I didn't feel like myself in a bathing suit. And that is the worst part. Not feeling like you, feeling like you're trapped in someone else's body. And even after, cutting out the alcohol and losing the weight, there's still certain things in my body that I'm like, what the f is that? Like I've never had fat there in my entire life.
So again, I want to extend some empathy for Jaclyn because despite how far she has come in making more nutritious choices, going to Pilates, going to therapy, and reducing her reliance on alcohol, there still feels like there's almost this fear of accepting where she's at today. And I definitely understand how common this anxiety is, but I really do hope that she can take a step back and see that even if she doesn't look exactly the way she looked like a decade ago, she has made enormous strides for her physical and her mental health, even if the past 10 months of her weight loss leg of her journey hasn't felt exactly fruitful.
Okay, okay? I have done all different diets. I did keto for a minute. I have tried heavy lifting with walking 5 miles a day, getting my 10,000 steps in every single day. I tried cutting out carbs. I tried animal-based diet where I was literally eating a total of 12 foods. Didn't lose 1 pound, not a pound.
You know, there are so many compensatory mechanisms that can cause these like frustrating weight loss plateaus. So our hunger hormones increase, our unconscious movement or NEAT declines, and our food noise just pipes up. And genetically, some folks experience much more aggressive adaptations than others do. And in these cases, often GLP-1 receptor agonists are recommended because they help eliminate the number one factor that makes weight loss so hard, which is appetite management. But let's talk a little bit about Jaclyn's plan.
I need to be microdosing, meaning I'm gonna do 2 injections a week as opposed to 1. My doctor said that because we're microdosing and because we're microdosing such a small amount that it shouldn't make me nauseous.
So you've maybe heard about microdosing GLP-1 RAs, which is kind of a loose term for kind of going rogue on best practices for these drugs. So there are some doctors recommending smaller doses or split doses of these drugs off label to try to reduce side effects or to slow down weight loss. But the problem with this is that every doctor or patient is just kind of like making up their own protocol, and we have zero evidence on their efficacy, safety, and side effects. Theoretically, it should be fine, but a lot of microdosing protocols rely on compounded semaglutide, which is not well regulated and in some cases has caused serious harm.
But I genuinely have such a toxic relationship with food. And like when I'm craving something, like I want what I'm craving and I don't want anything else. And it's just like so dramatic and the food noise never stops. And I'm really hoping that doing these semaglutides will help me just completely restart my relationship with food in general.
Food noise is a colloquial term for food-related intrusive thoughts, obsessions, and rumination, which can make weight loss or even weight maintenance very, very hard. Now, we used to mainly talk about food noise as a symptom of severe caloric restriction or eating disorders, but there are a lot of people who are adequately fueling their bodies and still cannot escape these nagging thoughts. GLP-1s are really unlike any other weight loss aid we have ever had because they act directly on the brain's reward system, quieting food noise and cravings for hyperpalatable foods. And so for people who have struggled with a hostile relationship with food, there is often this sense of like freedom while on these drugs because suddenly they have space in their brain for other thoughts. That said, as I'm going to speak to a lot more later on in this episode, it's very unlikely that going on a GLP-1 will restart your brain because it's not permanently changing your brain long term. And when you come off the drug, you'll basically see those food noise patterns return. But let's talk about Jaclyn's not so pleasant side effects.
Like we went out to dinner to this amazing sushi restaurant the other night and I felt so bloated afterwards. I felt like I could throw up, honestly, until the next morning.
So nausea is one of the top side effects of GLP-1 drugs, and it truly can be quite debilitating. Usually the aggressive nausea subsides with time, but there can still be this like baseline ick feeling that tends to linger. So to reduce the nausea effects, you want to try to avoid high-fat, greasy foods, spicy foods, alcohol, and caffeine on empty stomach, and stick to smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. Bloating and constipation is also a huge issue that does tend to stick around because these drugs essentially do delay the speed at which food leaves the stomach. So focusing on foods which are high in insoluble fiber specifically that can add weight to stool can be helpful. So things like bran, beans, nuts, fruits, and veg, basically anything with the skins on. And actually, we are also finding that new theories digestion de-bloat has been hugely helpful for GLP-1 patients because it contains ginger in it, which is both an anti-nausea agent and a prokinetic, plus the combination of soothing herbs and enzymes can help stop bloating before it starts.
My love for food is gone, and it's kind of depressing. Like I could see myself falling into a depression if I stayed on this long term, but I'm not going to.
Okay, we'll talk about Jaclyn's timeline momentarily. But yeah, while we don't have hard evidence of this, a lot of folks on Ozempic do tend to report feeling emotionally flat or disconnected from food, or just generally unable to enjoy experiences the way that they once did. And for so many people, myself included, this would probably be way too much of a burden to bear. But let's talk about what's happening in Jaclyn's life around the shots. Because earlier on in the episode, she clarified this.
I feel like I failed to mention in my intro that I will also be incorporating dieting and exercising along with this. So the challenge now is like whenever I do get hungry, I force myself to eat healthy, high protein things like cottage cheese, eggs, whatever it may be. And I don't have an appetite, and certain things really gross me out. Even certain smells gross me out, but it's working, it's temporary, and I'm finally gonna reach my goals, and that's what I care about. Now I am trying to do weights 2 times a week and Pilates 3 times a week because I really just feel like my body needs weight.
So I just posted a podcast episode with my colleague, Dr. Eric Williamson, on this, who said very clearly that GLP-1 RAs should be treated as an adjunct to diet and exercise, not a replacement. And yet, there seems to be this misconception that taking Ozempic is essentially taking the easy way out. In reality, arguably, you would have to pay even more attention to what you're eating because the risk of malnutrition, and more specifically, muscle loss, is just so high. So when you're struggling to eat anything, every single bite counts. And while it may be tempting to like make a meal out of a Twinkie and call it a day, we actually want to be focusing on about 30% of our total calories coming from protein, or around 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, to prevent excess muscle wasting. And if you're having a hard time getting this nutrition in because of your side effects, it is worth speaking to your doctor about potentially lowering your dose. Which brings me to the results. So Jaclyn did 1 month on one brand of a GLP-1, which I guess did not really move the needle at all. So she switched and did a full 2 months on a different brand, resulting in a 20-pound weight loss. Here's what she had to say about her results.
I am officially the exact same weight that I was when I launched my lipsticks. But when I launched my lipsticks, I was 2 pant size smaller. But my blood work still shows so much inflammation in my body. Just my inflammation, my cortisol, it's just all so out of whack still. And so it's kind of weird and kind of depressing that I'm now at my goal weight. I've barely lost any weight around my waist. And when I was this weight before, I was 2 jean size smaller, sometimes 3.
I fully understand how frustrating this must be, but it also doesn't really surprise me that Jaclyn's body composition on semaglutide isn't what it was when she lost weight with diet and exercise alone. Basically, Jaclyn lost 10 pounds each month, which is not uncommon on Ozempic, but it's also not like she was starting at like 350 pounds. So 2.5 pounds per week is a pretty fast rate, and it's also above the recommendation for safe weight loss to reduce the risk of muscle loss. It also sounds like at times she really struggled to eat enough calories, period. So it's almost impossible at that point not to cannibalize some muscle. And again, this is unfortunately not uncommon, with data suggesting up to 40% of weight loss on these drugs may be coming from lean mass. She also mentioned her cortisol levels are high, which again is not surprising given that severe caloric restriction is a stressor on the body, but high cortisol does preferentially store belly fat, as I discussed in my video here. So like she said, she may be losing her ass and boobs plus metabolic muscle, but her body may be holding onto that midsection weight, and unfortunately, it's that visceral fat that is going to further drive inflammation. Now, the last thing we need to touch on is Jaclyn's next steps.
I have lost a little over 20 pounds. I don't know anybody personally who's only done a GLP-1 for 2 or 3 months. I am proud of myself that I know to call it quits, and I'm like, we're done, let's get off this.
I understand what she means by feeling proud to come off, in that she's not gonna let herself disappear into nothingness, but I do kind of worry that maybe she's not gotten great medical advice on this. GLP-1 RAs are designed to be a life lifelong drug. If you come off the drug, your appetite and your food noise will return. Your blood sugars will go back to baseline and you will gain weight back. One study showed that patients regained 2/3 of the weight back after a year from withdrawing from treatment. And unfortunately, if a chunk of the weight you lost is from muscle, you are going to have to work hard to get that back, which just kind of may further disrupt body composition. This is not a quick fix. It has to become part of your ongoing life, and I'm worried that Jaclyn's going to feel even more frustrated than when she started now that she's coming off. But if she is going to come off, it's almost imperative that she work closely with a dietitian skilled in GLP-1 weight loss management, because it is highly unlikely that this will be the reset that she wanted. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But statistically, she's kind of staring at a mountain to climb. Now, closing off, I really do want to applaud Jaclyn for being so vulnerable in this series and sharing both the highs and lows of these drugs. Like, I'm really rooting for her to maintain her weight loss, but even more so to be at peace with where the journey takes her next. And that's all that I have for today, folks. I've got loads of great videos specifically on GLP-1s if you want more real life and evidence-based information. So I'm going to be leaving links to that below in the description. Bye!